Ladies and gentlemen, this is Erik from Watain. You're watching Tvwar.
Εδώ λοιπόν στο Tvwar του Matt και του Metal Hammer, φίλες και φίλοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, σήμερα φιλοξενούμε ένα συγκρότημα που του αρέσει να παίζει με τη φωτιά. Ένα από τα πιο ακραία σχήματα που υπάρχουν σήμερα στη σκηνή. Είναι η Watain και μιλάμε με τον frontman του συγκροτήματος, τον Erik Danielsson. Hey Erik.
Hey.
Welcome to Greece.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel in here? Good?
It's perfect. We arrived yesterday, already had a full Greek experience.
All right.
Friday night in Athens, perfect. No, we're pumped, man. We're really very much looking forward to
Okay,
the show.
okay, perfect. What I have here is the latest Watain release, Trident Eclipse, which is already 16 months old.
That's right.
Yes, and I would like to ask you, which aspect of Watain did you want to emphasize this time?
The aspect, I think, for every album is similar in the sense that we always want to illuminate what Watain is in this very moment. You know, when the album is being created and when the album is being recorded. It's always been about summarizing the current spirit of the band, really, you know. And I think with Tridental Eclipse, we found quite soon in the creative process that it was going to be quite a violent and fierce album, you know, like a bit perhaps relating mostly to the predatory nature of Watain, you know, to the savage side of Watain, really.
Okay, well, you have said that what defines Watain is an elitist approach to black metal. So, what's in here for the privileged few?
Well, I mean, it's important to define the nature of the elitism that I'm speaking about,
Yeah.
because what I mean is that, you know, I was initiated into the black metal movement in a way that's quite different from, I think, what the youth of today is going through when they are, you know.
What is the youth today going through?
I think they're going through Google, you
Yeah.
know, and for us it was a little bit different than that. So for us it was always, black metal was always something for those who had what it took, you know, the ones that were able to prove themselves and to reach into the inner secret core of things and to learn to know other people that were like-minded and so on, and in the end what you will get with this kind of approach is a form of brotherhood, a form of secret society, if you will, you know. What is in there? Well, I think that Tridental Eclipse is a very traditional album. I think probably a lot of people from our generation will find a lot of familiar things in there. I hope so, at least, you know. It's an album that I think is kind of inspired by where things were at when we started the band, you know, 20 years ago. This very, I don't know, savage, like underground mentality, you know, that was just dominant then, and that I will always fight to bring back as much as I can.
Okay, well, allow me to be the devil's advocate for a while. I'm sure you're fine with that.
Sure.
What would you say to people who believe that there's nothing elitist on Watain because you are nowadays an established mainstream black metal band?
I don't know. I would probably get pretty upset if someone took that strange and a bit childish approach, you know. But what people have to remember before they insinuate things like that is that we have been living and fighting and nearly dying and some of us even have died, you know, for what we believe in.
Yes.
And I'm sure that it is easy for the youth of today to find things that are maybe provocative to them, or with Watain, or you know, I know how it is myself to be young and look at commercial bands and have a strong opinion about it, you know. But if there's one thing that I learned, you know, is that you gotta have respect for your elders, you know, and you gotta have respect for people that have done things all the way for a long time, you know, because there's really not that many bands that have done that, you know, for 20 years of time. There are, for certain, examples of it, but there are not many, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that everything about Watain is very important to you. This is your life in this band, and in an interview of yours, I read that music is not the most important thing. Music is the medium in order to channel some ideas, right? I would like you to discuss those ideas a bit. Which are those ideas which are more serious than the music itself?
I definitely believe that music is a medium, yes, exactly the same way that lyrics are a medium, and that interviews are a medium, or that a piece of artwork is a medium for a band to express something. And what I think is the main point here is that it's the totality that we are after, right? We are, when I define Watain, I do not define it only through the music that we play, or through the ideas that we have about our band, or through the lyrics. I define it as the totality that all those things become together, you know. You know, heavy metal to me is not it's not just music, you know. Yeah. It's far more than that. Mm-hmm. And I think that was my main point here, you know, that it's for me that's the great challenge, and it's what I find inspiring with you know, being in a band like Watain, is that it's always like laying a puzzle where, you know, every piece is important, absolutely, but it's the finality, it's the totality in itself that should always be, you know, the focus or the intent.
Okay, I see. Well, let's change the topic a bit. Recently, a show of yours was cancelled in Singapore. The same time around, a show of your friends, Rotting Christ, was cancelled here in Greece. A couple of days ago, a week ago, a show of Sepultura was cancelled in Lebanon. Yes. And the question is that, do you feel a bit happy that heavy metal can still raise fear?
Yeah. If it doesn't, then I tend to think that it's losing the point a little bit, you know. There has to be a sting to heavy metal, I think. There has to be something that normal people, you know, don't feel very comfortable with. I think that should be a natural characteristic of metal in general. I mean, we are, of course, all of these cancellations that you mentioned are, you know, as far as I can tell, like a result of an ongoing shift in how people look at culture and how people look at what is controversial and what is okay, and so on, right? But
you think we enter an era of strong conservatism?
I'm not sure about that. I think that what it does, if we are staying on the positive side of things, of course there's a lot of negative things about this as well, but staying on the positive side of things, first of all, yes, I do believe that it's good for heavy metal to be a bit controversial again, absolutely. But on a more serious note, I think that it raises a lot of quite important questions, you know, for it, and it's good that people discuss these things among one another, you know. It's just important to, I think, to to not just look at it from one way, you know. I mean, there are many things at work here, you know, around these cancellations and around, you know, the consequences of those cancellations. There are so many aspects to it, you know, that have to be considered. And what I think the bottom line is that it's good that it happens. It makes people think a little bit, you know. You have to ask yourself who you are in all of this, and what you think, and, you know, what are you going to do about it?
So do you think that especially black metal should maintain its aggressive, its toxic, its anti-conformative character? It should maintain it, and if it doesn't, it loses its initial cause.
I think that if it doesn't, it's not black metal, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's something else. My definition of black metal is something that naturally will sting in the eyes of an average person in the street. It has to have its roots in things that most people would call, you know, chaotic, sinister, dark, diabolical things. It's not music for normal people. You know?
You know, lots of bands from Scandinavia that used to follow this approach in their beginning. Nowadays they are rock stars. Now I had a conversation with a band from Norway, and the frontman told me, nowadays I'm having a beer with the prime minister of the country. And he also insisted that this is absolutely black metal because it's a way of following his beliefs and his heart. It doesn't matter who he's talking and who's drinking beers or coffee with. And I thought that this idea was a bit controversial.
I don't see any paradox in being, for example, I mean, you were mentioning just like being rock stars. I don't really know what that term implies, but I don't really see, you know, for me, like, Bathory is one of the ultimate black metal bands. Yes. Corthon was a total fucking rock star, you know. Who cares? I mean, that's not, I mean, listen to his music, listen to how inhuman and foul and fucking genius that music is, filled with energy, filled with fire, you know. I think you just people have to look for themselves at the totality of things, you know. What is it that you see? I mean, when I look at, I don't know, like you said, this example of a Norwegian band. I mean, I look at a lot of the Norwegian black metal bands that were started 10 years before Watain, and I have a very hard time to relate to a lot of the things they do and say, you know. At the same time, I have a great respect for that they're still playing, and you know, I think a lot of them has, if not, you know, interesting albums coming out. At least they have interesting ideas still, and they, you know, you can see that they have been thinking and growing with it, you know.
Well, in a couple of hours from now, you will perform your ritual, your ceremony on the Warfield, you call it, stage. And as far as I know, this is the place, the stage where you transcend. And this is the place where Watain takes its actual identity, right?
Something like that. I mean,
why is the stage your altar and not your home, your studio, or I don't know why?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it comes from, I mean, first of all, we have to remember that out of all the things that we do with Watain and have done for the 20 past years, you know, 80% of that has been touring and playing on the stage, right? So it's basically like the main function, if you want to call it like that, of the band. So of course it's the thing we are most familiar with, the thing that we have been able to work the hardest on, the thing that we have come to enjoy the most, you know. I think that's the main reason why we talk about the live scenario as such an important, integral part of the band, because it's really, you know, it's the main thing that we do. I've been in a studio to record an album 6 times in my whole life, but I've been on the stage more than 600, you know. So it's transcendence and such concepts are, yeah, of course, they are there as well. And I find it a little bit interesting that even after 20 years, I have a hard time to speak about what is going on stage, you know? I mean, you can always use words here and there, you know, big terms, religious terms, magical terms, and so on, but in the end, there's still, it's still a very hard thing to translate.
Okay. Is it okay with you if someone from the audience experience this whole performance as pure entertainment, having fun, watching a good band playing, good songs?
Yeah, I mean,
lots of fire and lots of beer.
You can always try, you know, but I think that no matter how much a person wants to see Watain as only entertainment, I also think that it might be quite hard to stay with just that approach, you know, during a whole show, because I think most people will feel that there are other elements involved as well that are something else than mere entertainment. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, when I go and see Judas Priest, I go and get shit-faced and bang my head as well, you know. So I'm entirely familiar with that setting, you know. But I also think that a good heavy metal show, and especially a good black metal show, definitely has elements of other things as well, greater things, you know.